What is going on, lunatics? We are back out in the bait laboratory and we are going to make some football swing jigs using our do-it molds. I really think that this is going to be a cool bait to get out on the water, catch some fish on. I think it's definitely something you guys can very easily make at home. I think it's going to pair up really good with the Boss Hog mold that I just got from Do It Molds as well. I think it's going to be something I'm going to fish a whole lot more, especially since I can make it myself. It's not something I have a ton of experience with, so as I use this mold and as I use this lure and this technique a little bit more often, I will take you along the way and share what I learned, share what I think has helped me get bit and catch fish on that technique. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications so that way you get notified of all my awesome content that will be coming your way. So I really appreciate you guys watching today's video. Let's go into how to make this football swing jig by Do It Molds. Let's go. Okay, so making this football swing jig is pretty easy and you don't need a ton of components. All you need is some hooks. I got some Owner J hooks right here, 3/0, the EWG style. You need the wire forms from Do It Molds. Today we are using the WJI 600 wire form that pairs up with this football swing jig mold. And there's the Do It logo right there. I'm gonna open this up right now and show you guys what the inside looks like. So basically what we're gonna have here is your hook lays in this opening right here. Your wire form goes where the hook eye is right there, where normally the hook eye is, but it's just the eye of the wire form, and then it connects to your hook down here. And I'll show you guys how to make this happen. Okay, so the first step in the process is connecting your hook to your wire form. So if you look at your wire form, you will be able to see there's an opening in the wire form. So you're just gonna slide your hook onto that opening like so, and then it's time to put this two-piece contraption into your mold, and we are going to make the 3/4 ounce head, which is this one right here. And the reason we got this other mold down below is to kind of help the hook from pulling everything out of the mold when you let go. And so everything's in there nicely, and we're going to close up our mold just like so, and now we are ready to pour. Okay, so our hook is hanging out freely from our mold, which is what we want. It's nice and flush right here at the top, and our middle opening is the one we're going for. That's our 3/4 ounce head. So let's put it under our lead pot and get this going. Pour it on in, and I think that's going to be a good pour. We'll let this cool down and we'll check it out here in a second. Okay, so we're going to check out our pour and see how it turned out, and it turned out pretty good. We are good to go, and make sure that when you pull this out, this has been sitting here for a minute so it's not too hot so I can touch it with my bare hands. But that's what it's going to look like all said and done. And this is what you want to make sure of, is you want to put the hook on in the right position, because you want the hook point and the eye where you tie it on to be on the same side, so that way when you're dragging this thing on the bottom, that hook point's going to come up and you're going to get a better hookup ratio that way. You don't want it to be down, because then you're not in the right position. You're going to get hung up on the bottom a little bit more, and you want it to be this position. So I'm going to make up some more of these, and you just basically repeat this process over and over again. And then the only thing that I found that's kind of at all difficult about making these is when it comes to the actual painting of them. And you kind of just have to pay attention to where you are holding everything to make sure that it gets painted properly. You don't want that eye to get too much paint on it. You don't want the hook to get messed up or anything like that when you go to paint and drop it into that powder paint. So those are just a few things that you need to pay attention when you go to paint these, because you can paint them whatever color you want. So when we get to that point, I will definitely show you some things that I found that were helpful for me. Okay, so off camera I finished up making these 5 football swing jigs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the sprues on all 5 of them, and it's simple. You just take the cutters, cut them off, and you probably could get away with not filing them down to smooth out that flat side, but I'm kind of a perfectionist like that, so I'm going to smooth them down a little bit. That's just my personal preference. I don't think you need to. I doubt that it really makes much of a difference, but it's just something that I'm going to do. So here's my file. I'm just going to take this flat side, file it down just a little bit. I'm not going to file it down too much, but just enough to get that little edge off from the cutters. These aren't as easy to file as some of the other things because you don't have a lot of leverage to hold on to them. So get these filed down real quick, and then I will show you how to paint them. Okay, so we are ready to start painting our football swing jigs. And what we have right here is my fluid bed. I made it myself. It's pretty easy to make. There's a bunch of different videos on YouTube on how to make these. The fluid bed just makes it so you can get a nice coat of paint on your jigs or whatever you're trying to paint. And we have our heat gun, which is what I'm going to use today in order to heat up the lead to get that powder paint on there. And when you go to paint these, you need to make sure that you're holding it basically like I am, where you're kind of wedging this hook between the wire form and the pliers, because the hook will fall down. So like if I don't hold it like that and you just hold it, you know, a different way, you're either going to be holding it too close to the head of it and you're not going to be able to get paint everywhere, or you're going to get paint all over your pliers. Or if you hold it a different way, you're going to be trying to put this into the fluid bed or whatever, and your hook's going to end up in there as well. So you need to figure out a way to kind of wedge everything together and give yourself this gap that you want, so that way you can get a nice coat of paint on there. So I'm going to give this basically a 20 count because this is a 3/4 ounce. That's a fair amount of lead that we need to get warmed up. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to turn this heat gun on and I'll give it that 20 count. 18, 19, 20. We'll go over to our fluid bed, dip it in, like so. Heat it back up just so we can get it to kind of melt a little bit better on there. I might actually re-dip it again because it was cold and that heat gun hadn't heated up all the way yet. So we'll dip this back in there again, just like so. Dip off the excess. And that one's going to turn out good. So then we're going to hang it up here to dry, just like so. And then we'll keep going on to the next ones. So once again, you want to have that gap between the head of your swing jig and your pliers so you can get a nice coat of paint on there. And this will keep your hook eye clean and the bottom of your wire form clean, so that way you don't have any issues with the paint trying to stick everything together and harden around everything, so that way your hook's not going to swing around freely, which is the whole point of this setup. Okay, so we're going to do that 20 count once again. You want to make sure you're getting everything nice and hot so you get a nice even coat of paint on everything. That's the important thing, is getting that even coat on there. So you got to twist it around like this so that heat doesn't just get on one side, but it gets everywhere. So we're just about ready to go. Come over to our fluid bed, get it in there, stir it around, get off that excess, and that one turned out pretty good. We'll go and hang this guy up next to the other one, just like so. Try to make sure they don't touch, and we are on to the next one. Okay, so we got our swing jigs just ready to go. They're cooling down after being in the heat gun and getting that powder paint put on there. So once they cool down, I'm going to show you how I clean out the eyes, just to make sure there shouldn't be anything in those eyes, but just in case we want to check them before we put them in the oven to bake. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's no paint in the actual eye of your hook or in the wire form around your hook. So I don't know if you can see it on the video, but I can see that there's like residue of the paint on the hook eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of go up and down the shank on here just to clean out any potential paint that could be in the wire form, and then just kind of bend the hook around, move the hook around to make sure there's nice free movement in there. And then in case there's any dust that's built up on there from just going in that paint, I'm just going to blow it just to make sure it's all clean. And then this one is ready to go into the oven to bake. And so you're just going to want to repeat this process on all of your jigs to make sure that you're not going to have any issues, because what you don't want is for this to harden in the oven with that paint around the hook or on this wire form, because if you do, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to get that free movement that you can get right now pretty easily. So you're going to clean it out before it goes into the oven to bake, and I'm going to blow out any of the residue that's on this hook eye as well. So I'm just going to repeat that process for the next 3, and then I will put them in the oven to bake. So as you can see, all the swing heads are now in the oven. This is actually a toaster oven. They're pretty cheap. You can get them pretty much Walmart, Target, wherever, but you just hang them in there like that, so that way you can get them baked in there. And the reason you want to bake that powder paint is so that way it hardens everything, and then that powder paint is going to be much more difficult to chip, because if you don't put them in the oven and bake that powder on there, they chip much easier. So we're going to close this up, and we are going to heat these up 350 degrees for about 20 minutes, and I'll check back with you after these are done. All right, so our swing jigs are all done. They are cooled down from being baked inside the toaster oven. We'll pull these out and give you guys a better look. Okay, so here are our swing jigs all done, out of the oven, set up, and basically you can put whatever plastic you want on here. I think the Boss Hog or some type of creature bait's gonna probably be one of your best bets, but you could also put a swim bait or anything like that. You just want to match up the color that you paint your lead head to match up with whatever swim bait you're going to be using. So obviously these are like a green pumpkin or a watermelon color, so green pumpkin watermelon based plastic is going to look probably best. And if you wanted to put like a shad pattern swim bait on there or something like that, you could definitely leave that silver or paint it white or get fancy, however you like to paint your stuff. All right, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make those football swing jigs using your dual molds. I really appreciate you watching. I really think these swing jigs are gonna be great to have in the arsenal, and I think you could benefit from having them in your arsenal as well. I'm gonna put links to all the different components and items I used in this video in the description, so make sure to check out the description before you go to the next video. There's gonna be discount codes also in the description of this video. I've got 6 cents discount codes. I've got Omnia Fishing discount codes, Reeler Shield codes, a bunch of different codes. So make sure to go check them out and check out the links that I have in here as well. So that way, if you want to get any of this stuff, you can find the right equipment. So again, thanks for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell for notifications. That way you know when I put out more awesome content. So again, thanks for watching today. Really appreciate it, and stay tuned for more content coming your way. See you guys later. See ya.